So there are two methods for solving complex fractions, and what I decided is instead of trying to teach both methods in one video, I'm just going to make one video with one method, and then I'm going to make another video, or it might be two videos, with the other method. So this is all about solving complex fractions. Now, complex fractions is anything that you have a quotient with a fraction in the numerator, denominator, or both. So in other words, this is showing that we have a quotient, so it's a division, like all of these are giant division questions. But you'll notice this one has a fraction in the numerator and the denominator. This one only has a fraction in the numerator, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to do objectives 1 and 2 with one method, and then I'm going to do objectives 1 and 2 with the other method. So method 1 is the way that, I think it's kind of designed to do. This is the method that's going to take everything that you've learned in the course so far and apply it. So what it is that you're going to simplify the numerator and the denominator separately, and you're going to divide by multiplying the numerator by the reciprocal of the denominator and simplifying. That's going to mean nothing to you right now. So I'm going to show you what that means. What I would say to do first is you're going to take the numerator and you're going to write it. And then you're going to take the denominator and you're going to write it. And instead of writing it as a complex, or some textbooks call it compound fraction, we're going to write it as a division question. So you're going to change this master quotient bar into a division symbol, so that when you look at this, you have a fraction divided by a fraction. So you're going to change that to multiplication by flipping the second fraction and multiplying. Then you're going to look to see if you can simplify. So I have a y plus 2 and a y minus 2. I can't simplify that, but I do have a y divided by a y. So I'd be left with 3 times y plus 2 in my numerator and y minus 2 in my denominator. You can really leave it like that, or if the multiplication is bothering you, like this is simplified factored form, but you could multiply through. So depending upon sort of if it's a multiple choice question, you'll know which form is needed of you, or if the answer's in the back of the book. But on a test, I would take either of those and it would be absolutely fine. So then you get to this question here. Again, the first thing I want you to do is write it as the numerator divided by the denominator. Then, if you're dividing fractions, you flip the second fraction and multiply. Notice I said flip the second fraction. You can't flip a binomial. You have to make this into a fraction. So step number 1, if you look above, said simplify the numerator and denominator separately. Simplifying means create common denominators for each of them separately. So for this one, I'm going to have a denominator of x. To do that, I'm going to multiply the 4 by x, and then the 3 I don't have to multiply by anything. Now I have a single fraction. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. It's over 1. I want a common denominator of x, so I'm going to multiply that 5 by x so that I end up with a common denominator. And again, if you want to show that by going x over x, that's way better. Right, so we get 4x minus 3 divided by x, all divided by 5x minus 1, all divided by x. Now that I have a fraction divided by a fraction, I can flip the second fraction and multiply. So this would be 4x minus 3 divided by x times x over 5x minus 1. Then before you multiply, you can simplify. So x divided by x is 1. You can't simplify the 4x minus 3 over the 5x minus 1. And that's it. You're done. All right, let's look at another question. So again, the first thing you're going to do is write it as a division question. So this is 1 over x squared minus 1 over y squared divided by 1 over x plus 1 over y. You're going to simplify these separately. So for my numerator, my common denominator is going to be x squared, y squared. I'm going to multiply the 1 by y squared. I'm going to multiply this one by an x squared. So again, to do that, I created a common denominator. I multiplied top and bottom by x squared. So I multiplied by 1. I didn't change the value. And this one I multiplied by y squared over y squared. Then I've got divided by. I'm going to create my common denominator of xy. To do that, I had to multiply this one by y, and I had to multiply this fraction by x. Now I can flip and multiply. I've got y squared minus x squared over x squared, y squared, times, and I'm going to take the reciprocal of this fraction, and I get y plus x. Now I'm going to simplify. Oops, that went way too far down, sorry. To simplify, what I want you to see is this difference of squares. So this one's going to be y minus x times y plus x. Maybe on the bottom you notice that x squared y squared could be xy times xy. And then over here I've got xy and I've got y plus x. So I can simplify an xy divided by xy is 1, and then y plus x divided by y plus x is 1, and my final answer would be y minus x over xy. And again, do not simplify further. The y and the x have to be divided by xy. You cannot go y divided by y and x divided by x. It does not work. So before we do method 2, okay, what I'd love for you to do is pause the video right now and then use your method of choice to simplify the following. Now, method of choice right now is I want you to try method 1. So you're going to have to do these questions twice if you watch the second video, but it's a really good idea to do. So pause the video, try this method, do these 2 questions. Once you've tried that, what you're going to do is watch to make sure you do the same. So my first fraction is 5 over y plus 2 divided by negative 3 over y squared minus 4. Oops, bigger bracket. Change it to a multiplication. Because I have just a fraction, I can flip my second fraction. And I can do y squared minus 4 over negative 3. Then hopefully you see the difference of squares. They pop up a lot. This would be a y minus 2 and a y plus 2 all over negative 3. Then I've got y plus 2 divided by y plus 2 is gone, and I'm left with 5 times y minus 2 over negative 3. Now that's a fine answer. That negative on the bottom is really bugging me, so I would move it up to the top, and I would potentially leave it like this, or maybe I multiply through negative 5y plus 10 all over 3. You know, any of these 3 answers is absolutely fine. The one I like the best, I mean, I guess maybe this one, but I do like this one as well. That negative in the bottom just drives me bonkers though. All right, so for this one, again, using method 1, we've got 1 over a minus 1 over b divided by 1 over a squared minus 1 over b squared. So you need a single fraction divided by a single fraction, so we need to make common denominators. So for this one, it would be ab. I'm going to multiply the first fraction by b, the second fraction by a. The second fraction, or the denominator, I should say, is going to have a common denominator of a squared b squared. So I'm going to multiply the first term by b squared and the second term by a squared. And then, oops, sorry, that's a division symbol still. I want to change it to multiplication. So I'm going to flip my second fraction. And maybe you notice at the same time that, look, difference of squares again. It's getting a little repetitive. Okay, so I'm going to do that at the same time. And so I can go b minus a divided by b minus a is 1, and then ab takes out the squareds. So I'd be left with ab on the top and b plus a on the bottom. All done. One last one. So for this one, the numerator is just s minus r, and the denominator is 1 over r minus 1 over s. So to do this, again, this s minus r is over 1, so that is already a single fraction. And then divided by, I want to create a common denominator of rs. So I'm going to multiply the first term by s, the second term by r, and then I'm going to flip and multiply. So s minus r over 1 times rs all over s minus r. Whoops, that's not an s minus r. So then cross out, divided by itself is 1, and I'd be left with just an rs. So that's method 1. We're going to come back to this again in the second video, but this is, I tend to call this method the creation method. You're creating common denominators, you're flipping and multiplying, you're using all the skills that we've been using up until this point anyway.